Good morning, folkers. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Tyrus Bane. Welcome to the Definition of Anarchy, where today on April 12th, 2021, on a Monday, I'm going to talk about Derek Chauvin's defense team outside the courtroom. And I'm talking about people like Tim Pool, Brandon Tatum, ABL, this, that, and the third. Those type of people, right, who give every excuse in the book to try to get, make Derek Chauvin look innocent, right? The man that knelt on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes. Let's talk about it. What are they saying? They're talking about the drugs, right, that George Floyd allegedly were taking. The speedball that was found half eaten inside of partly eaten inside of the squad car 6 months. 6 months after the incident. Very convenient that they found this thing 6 months later with George Floyd's DNA on it. We're also going to let's also get into how what he was doing in the store, this, that, and the third, how he was acting before he got on the ground. Listen, this is the bottom line. Oh, and also about the type of training, the approved method to subdue a suspect, right? Like how kneeling on someone's neck. It's an approved method within Minneapolis, the police department. Let's talk about that. Look, this is the bottom line. That might be an approved method, right, within the department. But where does it say that it's okay to kneel on someone's neck for that length of time after the suspect has passed out and all that stuff? Who says that is there a given amount of time? Does it say that you can kneel on someone's neck for as long as you want, even after they pass out and until they die? Even after someone tells you, oh, he has no pulse? Is that approved as well? It might be approved, but you're supposed to do it until a point that they pass out, and then you're supposed to put them in a recovery position, right? A recovery position, then you seek aid, medical aid for that individual, right? And then if a suspect is telling you that they're injured or that they're not feeling good, you're supposed to act on that. You're supposed to, at that point, you're supposed to render aid or make sure someone renders aid to that suspect, even if you don't believe that they're actually in distress. So that shit doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's an approved method. It doesn't matter if he was on drugs. It doesn't matter if he took a bite of a speedball that was at a lethal dose. It doesn't matter if he had a lethal amount of drugs in the system. The fact of the matter is, he was alive when you put your knee on his neck, and he was dead afterward. He was dead. He died while you were doing that. He was dead, according to, the EMTs that showed up. He was dead when they showed up. He was alive before you put your knee on his neck, and he died while your knee was on his neck. He passed out. You were told he had no pulse. He was subdued. He wasn't resisting arrest at that point, right? He was just yelling out, crying out for his mother, and whatever the case may be. At that point, you think someone with some sense and some compassion, and that's not a sociopath or a psychopath, would remove their knee from their neck and put someone in a recovery position so that they can survive, so that person can get medical aid. But what you have is people defending that behavior because, of course, they have a side to choose. Now, understand that Brandon Tatum was on Tim Pool's show talking about that very thing. I didn't listen to it because I was like, okay, I already know what they're going to say. You know what these people are going to say. At some point, you got to be like, you know what? They're saying the same shit over and over again. We have to understand what message that sends to people, okay, about what the police can and cannot do to an individual, okay? Now, understand, a police officer is a human being, just like me and you. They're not special. They're not anointed by God with special powers and abilities and all this other stuff and special rights. They don't have any of that. right? They're giving qualified immunity, which is illegitimate. What you have, what happened, what literally happened is a man snuffed out another man's life. Now, excited delirium, drug overdoses and all this other shit, we don't know if that would have caused the death because he was not given an opportunity to survive. He was not given an opportunity to recover from that because this dude stayed on him for 9 minutes. Ambulance showed up, he stayed on his neck. You have medical experts that said, oh yeah, if he'd have died in his own home, right? Now this defense guy, this defense attorney for Derek Chauvin, he likes to throw out a lot of hypotheticals and what ifs. Okay, so one expert said, yeah, if he'd have died at home by himself in his house all alone, no one around him, they would have thought it was a drug overdose based on that context. But that's not what's going on here. What's going on here is that didn't happen, right? He didn't die in a room by himself. He died on the ground with someone's knee on the back of his neck and pressure on his back, putting pressure into the ground on his chest. Okay, and a breathing expert came in there and said, look, you can see every time he's breathing, he broke down that if it was the drugs, if he was drug ODing at the time, he would have much shorter, more shallow breaths. He counted it. This is an expert on breathing. You understand what I'm saying? But they're not going to talk about that. The ABLs and the Brandon Tatums and the Tim Pools. You know, these guys are coming together, right, to make it okay for the police to do whatever they want to do to you. That's what we're getting at here. That's the message they're sending. This is all about messaging. How do you want people to look at the police in this country? If we say it's okay for the police to restrain you in that manner, to put you in a chokehold until you pass out and beyond, 6 minutes after you pass out, we're still going to put you in a chokehold. We're not going to make sure you passed out. You stop resisting. You're not resisting at all. You're limp, and we can continue to put you in a chokehold. We can continue to do that. We don't have to render aid. Is that the message we're sending? What should happen to Derek Chauvin, right? What type of charge should he be convicted for? Manslaughter, maybe. You know, probably what. I'm not sure if it was. You know, we can't prove intent. We don't know. There's no proof that it was premeditated. There's no proof that it was planned. You know what I'm saying? He showed up. But manslaughter, that's like an accidental killing, right? Where you did not intend to kill somebody or that you had no knowledge that you would kill somebody. But this guy, Derek Chauvin, sat on his neck and looked around and looked at people and was told that dude had no pulse. Knew that the dude was subdued, knew the dude was passed out, and continued to keep his knee on his neck. You can't just get manslaughter for that. It got to be murder in some form or fashion. Maybe third degree or something, second degree. That's what I would think. Because we have to make it clear that these police can't just do that to anybody. But of course, that's not what the ABLs and the Brandon Tatums and the Tim Pools want you to believe. They want you to believe this is what they want. They want you to do. They want you to comply and submit to the police no matter what. No matter what the police do, the police can do no wrong. They can never do any wrong, no matter what they do, because they have qualified immunity. You know, Brandon Tatum has been a cop for 6 years. Tim Pool gives him all the credibility in the world because he's been a cop for 6 years. ABL is rolling with Brandon Tatum. He ain't gonna go against him. He ain't gonna go against cops. These people aren't gonna go against cops. They're not objective. They're very subjective in regards to what the police can and can't do. There was another man that was killed in Minneapolis. I don't know too many details about it, but another black man killed in Minneapolis. I think he was driving away from a cop. Cop shot him. I don't know if he was driving toward the cop, away from the cop, or whatever the case may be. Allegedly, he hit some people. I don't know. I got to look more into it. But the messaging that they're pushing is that we have to do whatever the police say no matter what. But these are also people that want to limit government. These are also people that don't trust the government. These are also people that don't trust the FBI when the FBI says that there was no Antifa at the Capitol siege, or whatever you want to call it, when they stormed the Capitol. That's what they want to tell you. Oh, they don't want to trust the FBI. The FBI said there was no involvement of Antifa or any left-wing groups. It was all, you know, right-wing Trump supporters. That's what the FBI said. They don't trust that, but they trust when the FBI says that black people commit the most crimes, the most violent crimes. But you're forgetting that the government, the banksters, right? They commit the most crime. They commit the most violent crime, but we ain't gonna get into that. That's gonna be a video for another day. I don't care if George Floyd was on drugs. I don't care if he caused a ruckus in a store, something like that. I don't care if he didn't want to get in the van truck. I don't care if he ate a speedball. I don't care about none of that. I don't even care in regards to how his life was ended, that he robbed the woman at gunpoint. He served his time for that. He paid his debt to society for that particular reason. I can't say, well, he deserved to die because of that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I would say he deserved to die at that point. You know what I'm saying? If that woman had a man there, or if she had a means to protect herself from Derek Chauvin and from George Floyd, and was able to, let's say, kill him because he was about to kill her, or he pulled a gun on her or something like that, but she had her own gun and was able to draw down on him, and kill him, he would deserve to die at that point. But not 5, 6, 7, 10 years later. That has nothing to do with this. These are the things they'll bring up. But they won't go into Derek Chauvin's history. They'll go into George Floyd's history. They'll go into Ahmaud Arbery's history. They'll go into old girl, what's her name? From Tennessee. I forgot her name. Shoot, I can't believe it. You know, the woman that was shot 8 times, the young black woman that was the EMT that was shot 8 times in her home. I'm pretty sure you guys will tell me. When her boyfriend got off one shot and hit one of the pigs. But anyway, this is what you have. They'll go into their history, but they won't go into history of the officers that did these things. And that's the problem. They want the police to continue to have these special powers and the special abilities to do whatever the fuck they want, to violate your First Amendment, violate your Second Amendment, violate your Fourth Amendment. These are people that they say they strongly believe in the amendments, right? They strongly believe in the Second Amendment. They strongly believe in the Fourth Amendment. They strongly believe in the First Amendment. But when these rights are violated by the government, who's doing the actual violating, right? Not Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi ain't pulling people over. Nancy Pelosi isn't breaking into someone's house and taking their guns because of red flag laws. She might get those passed, but she's not actually carrying out or enforcing the red flag laws. Who's enforcing the red flag laws? Which now is bipartisan, apparently, right? Every bill that goes through the House and goes into the Senate, they don't want none of that, right? The Republicans don't want to sign on for that, but they will sign on for red flag laws. They agree with that, like your boy Dan Crenshaw, like your boy Donald Trump. Take the guns first, due process second, Mr. President. Who's carrying these things out? And we know red flag laws kills innocent people. We know that. It's already been borne out in Washington, D.C. and other states. People are wrongfully having their rights violated. But who's carrying these things out on behalf of the government? The very police that these people defend. Cognitive dissonance at its finest. But we continue to hold these people up and support them and throw our money at them and throw a lot behind them, and they're not even consistent. They think the police have the ability and the right to do whatever the fuck they want, no matter what. Brandon Tatum told you he will always defend the police no matter what. Hodge twins, ABL, all these cats, they say, oh, there's no such thing as police brutality. The police can do no wrong. Right? That's what they think. That's what they think. They police officers can do no wrong. You know what I'm saying? Even when the soldier, right? I think it was in Memphis or Alabama at the mall, he stopped a mass shooting. A white dude was walking around with a gun, getting ready to shoot people. He stopped him, got the gun away from him, and guess who got killed by the police? No questions asked. And the people, the witnesses there, they were saying, no, not him. Don't do it. He's not the one. And they shot him anyway, killed him. Same thing happened at a bar. A security guard stopped a mass shooter. Security guard stopped. I talked about this 2 years ago, I believe. So a security guard and a armed black security guard stopped a mass shooter. Guess who the cops killed? Even after the people in the bar, the witnesses said, no, he's not the one. He saved our lives, blah, blah, blah. Guess who they shot anyway? The black security guard that stopped the mass shooting. But they can do no wrong. They can do whatever they want. He will always defend the police. These people will always defend on the police. Let me tell you something. These people aren't about freedom. They aren't about liberty. They're not. They have proven that with their rhetoric. And the same goes for Derek Chauvin. They want him badly to be acquitted. That's what Tim Pool says. Tim Pool says there's reasonable doubt because the prosecution's witnesses are backfiring. I didn't see that. I've seen multiple witnesses for the prosecution. I didn't see that. I didn't see the backfiring that he's talking about. Because the defense lawyer, he likes to play in the realm of what ifs and hypotheticals. He doesn't stick to the case, stick to the facts of the case. He can't do that because the facts of the case is this. George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin, period. He had his knee on his neck for 9 minutes. No matter drugs, counterfeit money, didn't want to get in the van, resisted a little bit. Wouldn't you if you don't want to be manhandled and taken somewhere? Just because somebody's wearing a badge and a gun and a bulletproof vest, they're supposed to be able to put their hands on you when you feel like they shouldn't be able to do that. You're going to resist a little bit. But at the time of the restraining, when George Floyd was on the ground, handcuffed with 2 other police officers on his back and Derek Chauvin on his neck, that's where it matters. That's where it matters. Right? Because George Floyd is done. He stopped wriggling around, stopped doing all that shit. And then he passed out. And you still want to sit on his fucking neck? That's what matters. None of that other bullshit matters. That's what we have to understand as people who really want to be free. If you truly want freedom and truly are about freedom, you'll understand that, look, none of that, all that shit that you're talking about beforehand is irrelevant. Now we're talking about somebody who's on the ground with a knee on his neck and 2 motherfuckers on his back. Hard to breathe. Chest being compressed into the ground. Back being compressed by human bodies. Neck being compressed. For 9 minutes. One expert said it was like breathing through a straw. Can you imagine that? For 9 minutes? A man not on drugs wouldn't have survived that. I did a video on a Hispanic man here in California. He was a veteran or an active duty soldier. Same thing happened to him, except he only lasted 6 minutes or so, 5 minutes. You don't hear nothing about that, do you? In the mainstream media. The mainstream media ain't talking about it. Brandon Tatum ain't talking about it. ABL ain't talking about it. You know why? Because there's nothing they can say against it. Because you're talking about it. You're talking about a soldier who was not doing anything wrong at the time. Matter of fact, you guys can go check out that video. I'll probably put it in the description. I forgot the young man's name, but I talked about him in that previous video, not so long ago. So this is what you have. The defense team for Derek Chauvin outside in the court of public opinion. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I'll holler at y'all later. Much love, and let's keep marching forward toward freedom.